My name is Marie Teresa. I am an artisan, author, and activist. A lot of the stories that I tell or the pictures that I paint stem from me wanting to recognize those who came before me. It's a combination of kind of expressing the identity that we've all experienced from my perspective. One thing for sure that I actually start off with as I tell my stories or as I paint and create is the Map Keepers Day initiative. Many often when I'm expressing myself or when I'm talking about who I am and what I do, I go into the depths of my parents. Both of my parents were actually military. They were in both served in the Army. My dad about 20 years, my mom about 15. And so I was raised, I actually came the year from after Desert Storm, which is actually a reunion this year. I'm born from the Desert Storm, so Desert Storm baby. And a lot of times my parents actually got out shortly after that. And so I've experienced on my end, I'm the third born, so I have a younger brother and two older sisters. And I'm a third born, so I basically experienced their post-military, war mindset and kind of them starting their careers, after military. And so a lot of times some of the things that are normal as far as like, cleaning up every day, wiping down baseboards, making sure your beds are made up and things like that is what I basically experienced. And as I grew older, my dad, he was very active in my life. He actually worked night shifts, so a lot of times in the day after he would goes to sleep and things like that, we would actually interact. He would kind of show me different, how to create things, help me with my homework, make 3D bumblebees, and kind of just for different projects and stuff. So my creative side came from a mixture of my dad showing me, how to work things, showing me how to put things together like desk and, furniture and, different components like that. And also it came from my grandma who actually stayed with us. And she basically expressed, if I needed assistance, this is how you do. Connecting those two different components that were really extreme. Like my dad was very strict and very, military mindset. And my grandma was like very humbled and, down to earth, a little bit more protective or passive per se. And so this is how I was able to, have this mindset, have this concept of identifying as an artisan, an author, and an activist. So basically, as I start to tell my story or start to go into depths beyond that, I started to paint maybe around, well, my whole school life, but I started getting a little bit more serious maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, deciding to paint, create, and pull those things, those ideas together. And from there, I was able to tell my story. I was able to talk about it, write it, and record it, and realize that those two combinations together can create a message that I share with the world. Those are the utensils that I can use to make a difference. Because a lot of times, what we don't realize is if you're muting your life, if you're muting yourself, if you're muting your voice, you're not allowing your presence to take place in the atmosphere. You're not allowing your voice to be heard, or you're standing for what, in silence basically means that you're standing for whatever somebody else says. And so from when I decided to create and draw and write and things like that, that allowed me to speak up. That allowed me to be the movement that I wanted to see. So that is how we also came into the Unmute Me movement. The Unmute Me movement is basically a movement that allows us to unite with others to tell their story, to unite with others to help and assist, because a lot of times the forgotten or the forsaken aren't often heard because we have these mute buttons. We may see it all the time, but when do we actually take the time to assist? When do we actually take the time to speak up on their behalf? Because we know that it's going on, we know things are occurring, but when are we actually going to speak up on it? A lot of times nothing is done if somebody is comfortable with what's occurring. It's when they start getting uncomfortable that we start to change certain things, that certain things get put into place. One of my favorite singers, well, I actually just like one of her songs that I heard, The Strange Fruit from Billie Holiday. believe it or not, and I just watched it a couple days ago as well, but I used to always listen to it. And one thing I did hear, she told somebody that your grandchildren will be singing my song. Your grandchildren will be hearing these words. And one thing she did, she was an agitator. She was somebody that said, I'm going to continue to talk about what's being done because no one wants to hear what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? They always willing to act on certain things, but they don't want to hear that they're doing it. They don't want other people to know. And this is where we say, unmute me because we have something to say. I think that's, yeah.
Okay, so you have to tell me about this map keeper thing that you do. You've been doing that for a long time. So what is the map keeper? What is that about? Tell me about that.
So the map keeper day is actually on November 7th. That's my dad's birthday. And map keeper is my father's initials, Michael Anthony Patrick. We created that day so that we can talk to the community about connecting military to everyday people. We're literally wanting to bridge the gap. A lot of people think when they hear military art hear military or war, they think they're just going out killing people, but they don't realize that a lot of the military forces go out into the world so we don't have bombs at our doorstep, so we don't experience people coming and attacking us. And then in the same respect, they also go through a lot of different components that we can't even imagine. You know what I'm saying? There are so many different components as far as retraining the mind, reestablishing themselves in and out the military that we don't often talk about. So as Map Keepers Day, we actually go to the veterans, we go to different events and we talk to them, we listen to their story, we allow them to speak on their truth, and then also be recorded in our book of Ledger of Legends. And that is basically allowing them to record who they are into the book of Map Keepers. And basically that is the legacy that I want to share, that I want to continue to extend beyond myself and appreciate those who did it before me. The statement of it is literally in honor of those who fought for our right to breathe. And that is the key component when it comes to any aspect of my life or what I do, is I'm honoring those who did it for me. And it may not be directly for me, but their actions said that they wanted to help another. And I take that I take that commitment, I don't take it lightly. I respect it and I honor it because they did it, and I'm able to reap a lot of the benefits. I'm able to come and, walk outside my door. I'm able to drive and move about. And that is something that should be recognized. That's something that should be honored and appreciated.
So you have two parents that was in the military, so why did you name it after your dad?
I named it after my dad because actually he had passed, the year that I did it, he passed about 13 years before. And that was when I initially started, it was his 60th birthday. And a lot of times when I was dealing with my dad passing, it was normally in our family, it was a hurtful or a situation that we mourn. And he actually passed on my brother's birthday. So every time at the end of the year, we get into our zones, I guess it's almost like a depression of some sort, my whole family, believe it or not. But this year, the year that it actually happened, that I actually started it, which was 2019, I started it and decided, this was the year that we make a difference. This was the year that instead of breaking into our own little holes, we go out together and help others, help those that we know connected with who my father was. It allows us to hear his voice or hear his stories or help those that he was amongst. After he got out the military, he was also a pastor. He would help with the elderly. He was actually the pastor of the Seasoned Saints, which is the elderly component of the church. And one thing we do is not only do we talk to veterans, we talk to military personnel, but we go out and assist where we can. We talk to the elderly veterans. We communicate with them. We allow them to tell us their stories, because those are important components of who they are. it allows them to share their identity. And also, in that same respect, not only am I just helping them, but hearing their stories allows me to understand. You know, a lot of times we stay ignorant to certain components, but if we open up our ears and listen to other people, if we connect with other people, we'll be able to extend our understanding. And those are one of the major components that makes me say this is Map Keepers Day, and this is why I honor those who did it for our right to breathe.
So what's that one thing that you have that you want to leave in this earth for you, like your blueprint? What do you want to leave for people to know about you? What's your message?
My message is I am. I am all that I have set out to be. I am all that I thought I could be. I am a vision of truth. I want people to understand that regardless of what they experience, regardless of what's going on, the same way that I was able to go out and do and experience and be the light that I wanted to see, or be the change, they can too. Because it's literally about seeing that reflection within yourself, seeing where you want to go, and it actually activating, putting action into it and doing it. And that is what my goal or vision is, to be that change, to show that the vision of truth exists within the footsteps that you continue to walk amongst. Something that people don't know about me is I used to sing and rap a long time ago, years ago. I used to travel and do shows out of the country, in the country, cross country, and everything. And so I listen to music. Like, music is something that allows me to paint and create and see colors in a different way that most people, don't normally know about me, because that's just something that I used to do years ago. And so, yes, I have a record player that I listen to my music and I kind of relax on. Another thing that I also have in here is the I Am Garments. I Am Garments is a clothing line that I actually connect with other artists so that they can actually put their work on clothing and put their work on shoes, shirts, all different kinds of components, hats and things of that nature, that basically I created, that stem from Emmett's Art, which is an art nonprofit that I started because a lot of times we need assistance with what we're doing and the direction that we're going beyond just our craft. Because sometimes we're so focused on our craft that we kind of miss the administrative departments or spots of our organization or our trade. A lot of times what is seen is the overhead. You know what I'm saying? It's you see the leaves and the fruits and things like that, but I dedicate it to my roots. Those who impart into me, I've had people in my life that literally committed to making sure that I was the best that I can be. And that is something that I want to give to other people. I want to be that.
So what's the deal with the radio show? I seen you on a radio show. What's that? Is that part of your radio show, or are you just on someone's radio show?
So the HOH 777 is it's a Christian radio show that I connect with quite often. I help kind of get it off the ground with them. So it's kind of like a partnership. And Pastor Wendy J. Turner and Latanya Johnson, those are the leading heads of that radio show. But yeah, I work with them quite often. I kind of took a break just so I can get some things, acclimated and things like that. But yeah, every Thursday at 7 p.m. we actually have an independent artist hour that's dedicated to connecting with other artists, which is what MSR does, and we can actually put your work on the radio station. What is next? Next, I would say, is the Unmute Me movement. A lot of the things that I've done has been basically in the background of saying I'm doing it to commit the action to it. And so the Unmute Me project is allowing folks to hear and see and experience beyond me working in the background, experiencing those components that I've worked towards with other people. You know what I'm saying? Not just me, but my collective, the I Am collective that connects together to make this happen.